Welcome back everyone, Blade here, back with another video of 7 Deadly Sins Origins. Inside this video, guys, we're going to be going over another Chronos tip that's going to be going over the boss edition. Now, this is going to, of course, tell us how these bosses do work, such as the Red Demon, the Gray Demon, some of the OG demons themselves, and then a few newer characters or newer bosses to see exactly what they have in store. So if you guys are interested in this, be sure to sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as per usual, and make sure you have the notification bell on as well if you want to stay updated to anything that's 7DS Origins or any of my videos that I post on my channel. Now, before we get into it, I do have to say thank you to Seeden as well. He ended up going over this on his channel. If you guys don't know who Seeden is, he was a major figure in Grand Cross back in the early days. I want to say before Assault Miliaris and stuff like that. And this guy was a major pillar. So he came back and did some content on 7 Deadly Sins Origin for one of the betas, or at least I think the main beta that was out for it. And lucky for us, he went over the Red Demon and Gray Demon. So we'll actually be able to show off a little bit of content here as well. Hopefully he doesn't mind. If he does, obviously we will either take down things, but of course doesn't mind. I'm gonna make sure I contact him anyways when I can to at least see if it's okay. But we got some content right there. We'll be able to actually look at the video footage of how these bosses go here. And when it first comes down to it, the boss section of this whole deal is going to have its own tab. This tab is obviously going to have 5 different bosses here, 2 of them that we do know, one with a familiar name but not exactly the same, and that's going to be, of course, the Red Demon, Gray Demon, Corrupted Guardian Golem, Albion Mutant, and Draco King Drake. Now, for the ones that we already know of course, is going to be the Red Demon and Gray Demon, but one of them that sounds familiar is Albion. Albion we do know from the animes, we know from Grand Cross, and that's that weird looking gray looking one. They had a slim looking one as well that was in the Fairy King's Forest, in which all of these dudes are pretty darn cool, but this one has a little bit of a twist on him, and you're seeing that he is a mutant. So we'll break down more into what that's going to be like, and at least what that looks like later on. So look forward to that as well. But what we're going to go ahead and do is look on down, and we actually have a huge breakdown of how the bosses do work. So when you click the little button of boss challenge, you're going to be brought to this screen here, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you guys can get a better look at it. And you're going to be brought to this screen here. You can see obviously the left hand side that shows all the mobs themselves, and then on the right side you have at the top being the event time challenges here, being the amount of time that you're going to end up having. You have the difficulty being most likely easy, normal, hard, and then most likely abyssal or something. And then you have the boss challenge reward. By completing this, you're going to get obviously these rewards that are probably going to help you out with just your weaponry upgrades, different things that are probably revolving around proficiency and mastery. So you do want to go ahead and do this. It does look like it does take some sort of currency though, because I do see a currency up here at the top right. So I would not be surprised if this does take like some currency that we're going to be earning every week, or either something that we end up finding. So kind of interesting to see how this is going to go. But when we go ahead and look at the Red Demon, there is easy, normal, hard, and nightmare, in which you're able to, of course, test your limits against these dudes. So you're going to find one of these things for the Red Demon itself, click it, it's going to start the dungeon, summon him, who looks like he's doing an absolutely freaking crazy belly flop right now, and then you end up fighting the guy. Now, it is said that apparently the Red Demon is growing stronger whenever he's hit by fire elements, so there is going to be an element type deal where you want to try and counteract the demon itself, which is pretty darn easy to notify. Of course, I figure something like that would exist in this game here, and so most likely we're going to have to use like what's it called, ice or some other elements that are truly going to be good with coexisting with one another to really benefit off of taking down this boss. Now, it does say you might want to have a good idea to form a team with different elements. So I can see something like mainly going with ice, but then you have maybe a light character who's able to furtherly build up that bar, and have some other things that might help you out a little bit more here. But the whole thing about this here is there's going to be a bunch of things we got to dodge. We're obviously seeing these aren't like major huge moves. I've seen some small ones here. This is kind of like a small little hit that's happening, and they even explain to us how these little moves would work. It begins apparently with an AoE, or at least an area attack that tracks your position. So there's going to be fiery projectiles that are going to rain down. So we have to actually go ahead and keep moving to make sure that we don't die. but there is a counterattack. Whenever, of course, the red demon is glowing here with a blue light, you're able to block his powerful attack by using a tag skill. So if we go ahead and look at what's going on right here, we can see he's playing as one of the other characters, being the OCs. I think his name is something Drake here. And then we go ahead, swap on in, get a nice hit with Tanare, and that's obviously going to help us out when it does come down to countering the demon. Doesn't seem like the demon takes any additional damage from doing this, but it does seem like it builds up this little bar at the right hand side, or either swapped our element due to us swapping to Tanare itself, which is always great. Now granted, while swapping, this is going to be very helpful for you because it does look like it does a little bit of a stagger against the boss, so you should be able to get a couple hits on off, but it also looks like the boss can stand up pretty darn quick, so be aware of that. Then we have the next boss being the Albion Mutant, in which I will actually, before we actually go over this, I do want to show some of the gameplay revolving the red demon here. So let's scroll on up because we can actually see a little bit more on the gameplay itself. But as it did say, he comes on out, does a huge little move here, and you can see some of these smaller attacks that's being done. The red demon itself has a couple of these small attacks, and you just want to make your way around them, slowly getting some decent damage in, and they're looking pretty dodgeable. It doesn't look like anything is really in your way, so I don't really think a lot of people are going to have problems with this. But granted, it is going to be difficulty based too as well, so who knows, it's maybe a lower difficulty, maybe a higher difficulty, unsure to know just yet. But everything looks pretty darn easy to go ahead and dodge. Just keep on doing whatever you want to do. He's going to do a couple small little hits at you, but nothing too crazy. Then we have obviously the counterattack right there, which he ended up doing counterattack, knocking him down, and did an immense amount of damage. So it's always great to see that we're able to go ahead and get a nice appealing counterattack on off. And he ended up beating the thing on. Look, as you see, he's pretty darn easy, and I think it's going to get progressively harder no matter how you dice it, especially when it comes down to the higher variants or the higher versions. So still cool for a boss that's actually happening right there. He didn't accept the reward, and I'm pretty sure there's a reason for that, but of course pretty darn cool to see. Now the next boss that we're going to be going over is Albion Mutant, and the reason why I do want to talk about this boss here is because recently they showed off this boss in their Twitter, or at least the intro in their Twitter. So I do want to pull this on up here for you guys so you're able to look at it as well. So this boss was recently shown, at least the intro was, which I think is already pretty darn cool. Just to look at him, looks insanely awesome here. If we go ahead and check, he kind of spawns in with this huge weather catastrophe that's kind of going on right here. You can see that he just goes on in, looking all muscular and junk, not our normal big round Albion or anything, or not the skinny one here. Now we got something a little bit more menacing here, who has a blue core, and it does seem like it's going to be a story fight, because I've only seen fighting with Tristan and of course King inside of this. I don't know if it's mainly like a story cutscene or anything, but it's pretty darn cool to at least see some of it. But looks like we're kind of protecting the ferry area, and I want to know more about this boss itself. So now that we've actually talked about this just a wee bit, because I don't really want to go too far into it. They don't really show any of the fighting gameplay itself here, but we check here, we also see that they explained the Albion Mutant. Now I'm going to open this in another tab so you guys are able to see here. Obviously they have the same difficulties. It looks like only 2 are unlocked off rip here, and it does have different boss challenge rewards, which is always great to see. There's no bonus event that's happening here, so do keep that in mind as well. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this is going to go down. But with this in mind, he does have 3 phases, so you do have to play through these phases to go ahead and actually deal some damage. Starts off with going ahead and hitting the legs and arms, most likely to immobilize the guy here. You want to focus on knocking it down, and once you knock it down, you go ahead and hit the core itself once you climb into the body, which is going to be easier. Then of course, as we're doing this, we are going to end up doing decent damage to him whenever he grabs a party member. And this is mainly because if we're able to rescue during this certain time, it is going to allow us to deal some massive damage, which is great. But you have to make sure we're reducing the gauge quickly in order to save our party member. So just continuously sit there and do some smacks against him, and I'm guessing he's going to release you. Then we have the phase 2, where we have to attack using a flower core, which is where King is slowly coming into play here, which we're going to step on a flower that appears on the field, and then we'll start being able to shoot its core. Once we hit it a certain amount of times, it moves on to the next phase. Nothing too difficult there. Afterwards, we have the phase 3, which we just have to destroy the Albion core, and it absolutely gets rid of it. By doing so, we have to focus the arms and legs once again to knock it down once again here, jump into the chest and destroy the core. How you know that the core is going to end up getting destroyed as well, from what I've noticed too, I saw a couple clips where for some reason it was red. I don't know if that was a fire skill or anything, but I feel like it does symbolize that it's about to die. Of course, you can easily just look at the health bar up there. It probably is way more helpful for that, but still a cool thing to at least see with these bosses. And before we wrap it up here, because I do know we have footage of the Gray Demon. I don't think he has footage of Drake here, but we do have footage of the Gray Demon here, and that's around the beginning. So for the Gray Demon itself, I don't know exactly what it's used for, but the way it comes on in, you speak to the rock and homie flies on in, knocking down this little frame here. You can see immediately, and we look at it right here, boom, knocks it on down, lightning strikes, and he comes in smashing on the ground, which is pretty darn cool. I do like how they actually did pretty darn good with some of the animations on this here. And he looks like he lunges at you a lot. He does a lot of claw swipes and stuff. Nothing too crazy, nothing very annoying, but it did look like by tagging in there, he maybe got a counter of some sort, because it did look like he did some type of clear counter. But obviously, Great Demon's getting cooked on up. He's got to watch out for a lot of its AoE moves here, which then he shoots that one that does a explosion. Pretty interesting to see how this character does go. I don't remember seeing anything about this, but you got a charge up attack here that either you run away from it, or if you're strong enough, which you see the yellow bar right there, strong enough, you can end up breaking him out of it to make sure you don't die. But if you're not, gonna obviously do this huge on AoE, and most likely is going to deal a lot of damage. So kind of keep this in mind whenever you are going against someone, or at least going against this boss, because most likely it's going to be a problem. Common little I-beam stuff, nothing too crazy here. And honestly, this boss seems very straightforward, so I think a lot of you guys get it for the Gray Demon side. At the same time, pretty darn cool. But nevertheless, you guys let me know down below in the comment section what you think about this. Are you excited? Are you not excited here? And be sure to subscribe, like, retweet, whatever you got here, because we're going to be doing as much content as possible on this game whenever we possibly can. So thank you guys for watching, and peace on out.